Worrying is more than just a negative emotion. We think of worrying as this thing that brings us down in life, this thing that affects our lives negatively, this thing that depletes us, this thing that diminishes us. But there's actually a flip side to worrying. If you worry about the right things, you can move yourself in a better direction. This is not necessarily worrying, but this is care. It's the same on a fundamental level, on an emotional level, an autonomic arousal type level. It manifests in the same way. The amount that you care about something that's truly important to you, you worry about that thing. Now, there's two ways here that worrying manifests in our lives. One is this negative emotion, and the other one is through care. Now we want to redirect this worrying that's a negative emotion towards worrying in a constructive way, worrying about things that matter. Okay, so first of all, I want to talk about infinite versus finite reserves of worry. So in theory, we have an infinite worry reserve. Why do we have an infinite worry reserve? Because you can worry for every moment of every day to the maximum extent for the rest of your life, and you don't necessarily have a maximum age that you're going to live to. Okay, so infinite amount of worry, in theory. But in practice, your worry reserves are finite. Why are they finite? Well, because if you worry in this moment, you deplete yourself and your ability to worry about other things in the next moment. You are not going to be worried to the greatest extent of every day for the rest of your life in practice. It's just not going to happen. And even though in theory we don't have a maximum age, everyone dies, and so there is a maximum age. So all this amounts to the fact that your worry reserves are a finite resource. Let's reframe this thing. It's not just a negative emotion. You can use your worry reserves as a resource. Direct them positively in your life towards things that matter. Now there's three problematic things about worrying about small things that are unimportant. Think worrying as a negative emotion. First of all, it depletes your reserves. If you deplete your worry reserves, you have less ability to care about the more important things in your life. That's the first thing. It depletes your worry reserves. The second thing is that it trains yourself to worry incorrectly. By worrying about the small things, you are ingraining that thought process, that habit. You are becoming a warrior of small things. That's not something that you want to train. You're training yourself to deplete your reserves. You're training yourself to commit the first problem. Okay, so by worrying about small things, you deplete your reserves, and by worrying about small things, you increase the likelihood that you're going to worry about small things in the future. Okay, and then third of all, it's a negative emotion. You suffer this negative emotion. So that's the most obvious one. By worrying about small things, you have to be worried. Now, isn't that bloody stupid? It's a small thing. Stop worrying. Okay? But in order to stop worrying, we got to redirect this worry. We got to redirect this worry to something that's important. And if you truly want to achieve something in your life, you have one overarching goal. That's what you should have. You should have one primary goal that you're aiming at. Earl Nightingale talks about this in The Strangest Secret. You should really watch that video on YouTube. Just find it. Search Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secret. Watch that video. He talks about the fact that you need to aim at one thing and just have one thing. Prioritize that one thing. Write it on a card. Keep it around with you all the time. Let it be in the front of your consciousness. Let it be front of mind. Let it be something that is always playing on your mind so that you're thinking about it. Let this thing be something important to you. Let yourself care about it. Let yourself worry about what's important to you. Let yourself worry about the major goal in your life. I'm going to use an example to make this clearer. Let's say someone's aiming at financial freedom, okay? And instead of actually going out and trying to increase their income, etc., they just worry about the small things. They're worrying about budgeting. They're worrying about whether they should buy this thing or that thing. They're worrying about all these small money decisions. You need to stop worrying about these small things in your life, these small money decisions, and redirect your attention to amassing a greater income, amassing greater wealth, accumulating assets and resources, being useful in this world. After all, it's mostly a capitalist world, and so you get rewarded for being useful. So be useful. This person that's struggling with financial freedom, they must not direct their worry to the fact that they've spent a little bit too much in the past month on this particular thing. Nobody is ever going to save their way into financial freedom by cutting expenses left, right, and center. That's not financial freedom. You get financial freedom through increasing your income and your revenue streams, through amassing wealth. This person is worrying about the wrong things. Care about what matters. Redirect your worry to the big things in your life. Now, apply this logic to yourself. Maybe it's not financial freedom. Maybe you aimed at something else. Maybe you aimed at a better academic result. Maybe you aimed at being more present with your family. Choose the one thing that's most important in your life, what you care about more than anything else, and stop worrying about these small things. Stop depleting your worry reserves and redirect them into something proactive and something productive and something important.